Good evening, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Relaxed Time Radio on the air 7:30 to 9 p.m. This is not a live show yet again because we're still recording in COVID quarantine. So we're recording from home. I've got a new camera, so I hope you can see me good enough.
Yeah.
And you can hear me better than last time, which is good. Do I look more handsome?
Well, you're looking good. A friend of mine just made a joke the other day on Facebook. He said, I hear that about 85% of all live streams these days are pre-recorded, which is which I thought was quite funny because it's kind of
There's a fair chance of that, actually.
We're using I guess we're using software that's normally associated, the kind of stuff that's normally associated with live stream, but it's not live.
Yeah, but not in this case. We know. So this is it's Sunday. You're listening to us on Sunday, but we're recording this one day ahead of time. So bear with us. Today is the 31st of May, right? Yes, the 31st, last day of the month of May. But that means that tomorrow, and that's immediately linked to the topic of our show this evening, what we're going to talk about, apart from, of course, the enormous array of music that you and I have selected, well, mainly you.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about the lightening of the emergency decree, phase 3 it is now. It's the third time they've reduced emergency decree measures, and it will be normally completely alleviated on the 31st of July as well. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. So have you seen the news about what's going to happen tomorrow? What's allowed compared to what is not allowed today?
I've seen a few articles. I don't know if I've seen the absolute official source article. I've just seen some things in the back of
the first thing which we can share, which makes very little difference to my personal life, but maybe to people working on the markets, on the fresh markets, the early markets, it makes a difference. The curfew has been decreased by 1 hour. So rather from, initially it was 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Right. And then it became 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And now it's 11 p.m. to 3 a.m.
11 to 3.
So people who want to go to the market, yes, 3.
Right.
So it's only 4 hours that you're supposed to sleep. No, that's not true. It's only 4 hours that you're forced to remain indoors.
Yeah.
Right. So 11 to 3 a.m. So people who go to Wara Road Market, the fresh markets, the early markets, and all that, they can basically start an hour earlier. Right. Shopping malls are allowed to open until 9. Good news for many people, perhaps movie theaters will be allowed to open, though some have said that they won't open for lack of new material.
I saw that. That's interesting, isn't it?
There's not many. There's not many, right, coming in.
That kind of surprised me. I mean, I suppose, that kind of surprised me because you would imagine that there was probably a backlog of films that hadn't been screened that were sort of in the schedule. But then you never know because the owners of those films will have a say in when they get put out, and they won't want them put out to small audiences, probably, will they? So, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good. So it's 3 seats. So families are allowed to sit together, couples are allowed to sit together, but then it's 3 seats in between, and there will be 1 empty row in between all rows which are occupied, I believe, as well. And no food and drink consumption is allowed because we can't have shared containers and all that and spillage on the floor. Also because they're on minimal staff for maintenance. So the cinemas that will be open will be under a certain strategy, but you can go. Gyms are also allowed to open, which is good. Now finally apparently from what I see, all equipment, because they were allowed to open, but only for the manual equipment. So anything that was free lift, free weights, but not the machines and not the electrical machines as well. Certainly not the electrical machines, and also no group classes. Also no mention on group classes, so I believe with the necessary measures in place of social distancing that group classes might also be allowed. That starts as well.
Does it change
and there's quite a few others.
Right, because I know that spas and massage places have been allowed to open in a restricted way, but I think there's a change to that as well, isn't there?
Now there's a change as well. So the health service massages are allowed to open full-time, full service basically. The health spas with steams and saunas are still forbidden, because that obviously carries a lot of contaminants, has the chance of carrying a lot of contaminants. And very important for all the ladies and the men with an outgrow in their hair, in their dye job, you're finally allowed to get a hair dye job, again, at the local hair shop, at the barber shop. It cannot extend 2 hours of duration. That should be plenty of time, I believe.
Oh, you would think so.
And still the same limitations remain there, that customers cannot wait inside unless there's a certain amount of surface. So it's 25 square meters per customer. If it's a very big shop, then someone can wait inside. If not, they have to be queuing up outside, and etc. etc. But that's what's happening tomorrow.
My haircuts take about 5 minutes. How long do yours take?
Yeah, mine 2 approximately. And that's including 5, including the shave and the little shoulder massage I normally get free of charge. So yeah, that's good. Zoos are also allowed to open.
Sorry, what's open?
Certain zoos are allowed to open. National parks are allowed to open, though some will have chosen to remain closed.
Right.
Certain tourist attractions in the jungles, like Makhathini, for example, are also allowed to open. I mean, there's quite a few things which are starting to become freer. I'm sorry, I just saw that there's a tremendous gust of wind passing here, so I'm hoping for a storm. I'm also hoping that the electricity doesn't go off. Apart from that, that's basically the news that we have for tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow, right? So that starts tomorrow. Now, there's also another decree talking about the 31st of July, right?
Yeah. Sorry, do we know anything yet about the travel? So it's been announced that for the 1st of July, not the 31st, but the 1st of July, all restrictions will plan to be lifted by then, unless anything goes wrong in the interim.
Yes. And I have an excellent app online, which is unfortunately in Thai, but I believe they are working on a translation into English. And I will send it to you so you can share it on the post as well.
Yeah, good idea. We'll share some links in the video description down there, and also in Facebook post.
It's a picture basically. Yeah, it's just a picture basically with instructions, and it has a QR code as well. So it's the line account named Prakat, which means announcement in Thai, right? Prakat. You can scan the QR code or search for its line ID, which is given here. And that is basically how to search for all provincial announcements regarding the COVID-19 situation.
Okay.
So you go there, you go into that group, and then you type in the province you want to travel to, and they will tell you what the restrictions or what the allowances are and what the precautions are. And you have to take province by province. Yeah.
I was just going to mention that on the 1st of July, it's been announced that all international and domestic flights will all be running again. Although, of course, that there are
the 1st of July, not the 31st. I'm sorry, the 1st of July. Yes.
But there are still control measures, quite strict control measures in place.
It's quite strict, and do not take this as it's a first step on a long path, I believe.
Right.
Hopefully not too long, but it's the first step on a quite a long path, because it is now opening international flights for people coming in to make sure that, first of all, priority the repatriation of Thai people into Thailand, of which there are still quite a few 100,000 waiting abroad to be brought back into the country, to facilitate that, because now they're only based on family and medical emergencies and work.
Right.
But also now it will allow foreign workers to come back into Thailand. People who have a work permit, foreigners working here will have a work permit. Now, does that include everyone? No, it does not. Teachers are not included. Volunteers are not included. International students with permits for studying are not included. It's only work permits, which will be granted case to case by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So how do people go about this? For example, you're a Saudi who has a work permit as a banker. I'm just saying, I'm giving an example in Thailand, right? Yeah. Working for a financing company. So an important job within the economy. So can you apply for that? Yes. What does he have to do? He has to go to the Thai embassy or honorary consulate, royal consulate, in his land of origin, his country of origin in Saudi Arabia, and show them the necessary documents, which is his work permit and his passport and all that. There is a document to be filled out, which will be sent into the Thai government and be requesting the Ministry of Internal Affairs to grant this foreigner permission to come into the country. If they grant this permission, they will send a document to his embassy or royal consulate and hand him over that, together with a few other documents which are also required. There is also still need for the insurance, a travel insurance, which is covering COVID-19 specifically, at a coverage rate of no less than 100,000 US dollars, not 100,000 baht, 100,000 US dollars. And they still need the medical certificate, which shows them to be COVID-19 free, no more than 72 hours old.
Right.
All of those are still required. Once, that takes about 10 days. So they're asking you to prepare 10 days for that.
Yeah.
With that amount of information, all those documentations, you can board a flight to Thailand, and then you will be appointed a government quarantine hotel for which you have to pay by yourself. You have several categories to choose from the very basic at 600-700 baht a day up to the luxurious for 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 baht. I've seen quoted prices of 45,000 baht for 2 weeks, but that's with swimming pool and private bungalow villa and all that, you know. Whatever you like, whatever you fancy. It's also a part of their initiative to relaunch the first type of tourism as such. I mean, to give people at least the feeling that they're on a holiday while they're in quarantine. And it's only for primary workers, primary industry workers. So the mining industry, engineers, finances, bankers, obviously diplomatic staff, consular staff, things like that.
Because I saw it was quite an unusual announcement regarding schools, wasn't it? In that schools aren't officially slated to open until I think the end of July, but they've given permission for schools to open if they wish. Did you notice
it's now been
that?
retracted. It's been retracted again.
Oh, really? Okay.
Retracted again.
Right.
Yes. I think it was a miscommunication,
okay.
which I know there's quite a bit of risée and criticism in the foreign community in Thailand. We can talk about this as well, you know, about the miscommunications of the Thai government. But you have to understand that this is such a massive organization, an organizational effort with all different types of departments trying to communicate, trying to come up with the best measures as soon as possible to serve the best interest of everyone. I know, for example, from the Belgian ambassador that he's been talking to the Prime Minister's office, and that all senior government ministers, even though it doesn't seem to be that way, are extremely concerned about foreigners living in Thailand, and that they are very much aware of the problem, but that they have to follow the COVID-19 Control Center protocol and the Ministry of Health, not only based on their own experience, but also on the infection rates, which are currently still quite rampant in other countries apart from Thailand. I mean, if you look at, not to pinpoint anyone, you look at the United States, you look at Iran, you look at other countries,
United Kingdom,
Europe,
right.
and the whole, it's not over yet. It's not done.
By no means, no. And everywhere in the world, all of these kind of restrictions are in place too. Like, for example, a couple of days ago, I went to meet my friend who is a Norwegian diplomat, and he was due to take up a post in Ghana on the 1st of June, but he can't go, and he's just in limbo. He's waiting for, he's waiting for permission to be able to take up his new post as well. So
Africa is completely under lockdown. Yeah, the whole continent is like blocked. They don't let anyone in, you know. It's
right.
Okay, good. Well, that was my news for today. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that. Sorry.
I don't think so. You've been incredibly thorough. Every time I
did prepare.
Every time I thought you were going to miss something and I would have a chance to interject, you covered it.
I'm sorry. I talked too much. Next show is yours.
No, it's wonderful. No, I'm like so happy because I'm so happy that you took care of that for me. You did it much better than I possibly could have.
Cool.
Okay, so that's wonderful. There's an update on the situation in Thailand right now regarding COVID. Obviously, we expect things to continue to change. But
yes. I mean, keep looking out, and we will keep informing you on our shows as well. As we go along, if there's any updates. There's more government and parliamentary meetings and sessions being planned regarding this. So, by all means, surely there will be more news to come, and more freedom, and more chances for other people to enter the country as well, where predictions now are set for tourism to restart in full swing. And when I say full swing, I interpret that. It's just my interpretation, so don't take it literal, don't take it as truth, as an absolute truth. I interpret that when they say that. for the fourth quarter of this year. So start October, what is that? October, November, December. So starting October, that all restrictions for traveling would be lifted into Thailand.
Right.
Yes, or perhaps just with a certificate, a fit to travel certificate or something like that. So another lightening of the measures, because you can't. I mean, every single tourist that comes up, you can't just forcibly put them in a hotel for 2 weeks. You know, people are not going to come. The Thai government realizes that as well, right? If you're willing to put down 45,000 for a 2-week holiday in a paradise hotel with your own pool and private beach and catering and food, and you don't care about going outside and seeing culture and seeing Thailand, fine.
That's the way that some people go, and that's the way that some people take their holidays anyway.
Quite a few people do beach holidays, you know, and they just come to the beach and they lie on the beach and they eat and they drink and they have fun, and that's it, you know. And they don't really visit anything, and they go for a bit of shopping around maybe, but nothing you can do outside, that is needs to be done outside of the resort, because these big resorts have little shops and all that, and they have everything. You know, there's a hairdresser there, there's a massage shop, so I mean that can be catered to, which is fine. Of course, people who are more adventurous, people who travel, backpackers and all that, that's not going to be, not for now, at least not yet, but normally by the first quarter. What we're also looking at is a region by region liberation of the tourism travel restrictions, alleviation of the tourism travel restrictions.
Yeah.
For example, it doesn't make sense to put the same measures on Vietnam and people coming in from Vietnam, which is a country that has even fewer infections and 0 deaths, if I'm not mistaken.
0, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 0 deaths, right, from COVID-19. Compared to the United States, where the infection rate is still quite rampant. So if in a certain point of time, say the 1st of July in 1 month, Vietnam is still at 0, the US is petering out, but still going, it would make sense for the Thai government to say, okay, all people from these countries can come in without these restrictions.
Well, the other region by region...
People who want to come in from other countries have to follow, still have to comply to certain...
Yeah, the other region by region element to it is, which is perhaps not as relevant for Thailand, is some countries in Europe which are heavily dependent on tourism are opening their own internal regions at a different rate. You know, so some regions with heavy COVID rates are staying in lockdown.
There was talk about that as well for the north, for example. I mean, we haven't. If you don't count the man who was tested 3 times 3 weeks ago, where the first test was positive and the 2 tests that came back afterwards were negative. If you don't count him, Chiang Mai province has been 59 days consecutively without infection. So that would be considered a safe area. Right. While now all people that are coming in that we see from abroad, which are in the quarantine centers, it's all in the south. They're all in Surat Thani, Narathiwat, places like that. And they're already in government quarantine, so it's not an issue. It's not going to spread. But you could imagine that the south might be a bit off, might be off limits a bit longer than that, right? Phuket was also a bit harder hit than the north, for example.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Okay,
let's.
I guess that's it.
Make it the rest of the show music, and thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. Hopefully, I'm gonna push for us to be able to go into the studio next week, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'd love to get back to the studio.
If not, we'll be back like this.
Thanks everybody for listening to Relax Time Radio, and if you'd like to catch us again tomorrow, it will be with Jacqueline and Meredith, and the show will be Women Only. We'll see you soon. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Relax Time Radio.
Bye everyone. Have a nice evening. Be safe. Take care of your health.
Bye.
Bye.